Yeah.
Hello, guys. Welcome to another live, and we are here joined by Anthony and Abel. And welcome, guys, to this live.
Yeah. Hi,
Uh,
thank you.
Hey man.
we are here mid-season, and now the January transfer window is going on. And let's talk about a few European clubs which are going through some trouble and are actually fine. Let's talk about which clubs have impressed you guys the most. And let's start off with Man United. So, what do you think about Man United and how have they been going through this season yet so far? So, what do you guys think? And who has been the most impressive player from Man United yet so far for you guys? So, Anthony, if you can start off with that.
Well, I think with United, it's a bit of a tricky situation. What I found, I think the last game, at the last minute, that was that. If they didn't score that last minute, when if Rashford didn't score that last minute, I didn't think top four was for them. Now I think they have actually they're a genuine dog in this fight, and
Yeah.
the thing okay, so it's a very tricky situation. We thought what Ragnick was going to bring was a very high pressing system. What it was going to be full on. This guy is the godfather of gegen pressing and stuff, right? So what we expected is going to be winning the ball back within in the first 3 seconds, going on the counter. But it's I think I think he came in and he probably realized in the first week or two that the play he doesn't have the players for it. The players he has are not. He doesn't have that fighter of a midfield, that midfielder who's going to start that press, who's going to initiate that press. So I think what we see is a bit of what Solskjaer did it at first itself, which is basically make sure that the opposition sort of makes a heavy touch on their possession and hit them on the counter. That's what we're seeing, and this is what we're seeing right now. I think what there is that with Cristiano Ronaldo and with Varane, I think with better quality top players, they seem more, how would I say, they seem more sure about themselves. But I think what they be I don't seem to find a very concrete system in place at first, that this is how they're going to play, then
Yeah,
this is. Yeah,
they've been having a lot of issues in a lot of fronts. I mean, Ragnick, it'll take time for him, man. I mean, you give him such a short span of time to, change the whole system. It's not going to happen in football. Like, overnight, no football team changes. It's the same issue with Barcelona also, right? Like,
did
no
happen
team.
with Chelsea though.
Yeah, no team can change overnight. But Tuchel's thing, you look, Chelsea's squad was good. They were playing decently well. If you look,
Yeah, yeah,
if Manchester United are expecting like what Tuchel turned it around for them, maybe that's not going to happen. But we never know. UCL, Ronaldo can come back. He can score those bangers. Who knows? In no time, they're in the knockout semi-finals,
yeah.
and then things
True,
will
true.
be. Yeah, league is hard,
So,
but I'm
Yeah.
definitely hoping Champions League they have still many games to go, and Atletico Madrid is going to be a huge challenge for them. I feel.
and one point to make is that De Gea has been their best player yet in the season. I mean, without De Gea, they're not top four. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think Bruno
And
too.
another,
Bruno's
oh, okay.
such an
Yeah.
influence for them too. I mean, in terms of the creative department, I think they rely on him heavily. As in, he's the only person I think that is reliable in their squad to make that creative thing work from the middle and from the wing too. And
yeah.
I think you saw Cristiano going. He did an interview where the young players aren't they aren't holding their weight. They aren't. He sort of made this analogy with his son, but we know that he was making it about the squad and about how his players have to uh, carry the weight, and they have to, you know, they have to if they wanted to really be a title challenging, if they want to be a player like Ronaldo, if they want to be someone who aspires to reach at Ronaldo's levels, you have to sort of carry his weight and you have to sort of show up. And yeah, I think
Mm.
Bruno's the only guy apart from De Gea. I think Bruno's the only other guy who's really been doing that.
True, true. That's the same thing with Manchester United. Who knows? They might be winning the Champions League with a German coach. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's been. I
Maybe.
think it's been. Yeah, they did. Like, the last 2 years was a German coach, right?
yeah.
I mean, 3 years. I think Klopp,
No,
Flick, and Tuchel. So yeah,
yeah,
it's
a
Yeah,
lot of
probably written in
Manchester
the stars.
maybe.
repetition of exactly where Chelsea was last season. So yeah, good
Hopefully,
good
hopefully that
for
doesn't happen. Hopefully
United.
this year is an exception.
Okay, you never know. Yeah, Sanki, you can ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's move on to another club, which is actually Barcelona, which is actually going through a lot of trouble
Yeah,
from where they've been, and the downfall has been a lot. So, what do you think about that club? Their downfall has been a bit too much, I feel.
yeah,
Not even being top four in mid-season is a bit harsh on Barcelona. So,
yeah,
what do you think, Anthony?
It's tough for them, man. I mean, with how their management has the in terms of financially and in terms of the personnel in their management, it's been a lot of mismanagement. It's been a lot of in terms of a lot of fallacies in the structure of their management, and it's they I think they're going through a rough patch, and they have to sort of go through this rough patch if they want to. It's sort of similar of how Arsenal's season is going. I'm not in terms of their management structure. Like last year, I think for the last two seasons, Arsenal were like eighth, and it was only we found out in the last year that really how much was they were actually going through in terms of their squad, in terms of their coach, in terms of the management, in terms of their financial input too, and. So I think Barca sort of have to go through this year, and I don't think they shouldn't hope for some sort of cup win or some sort of a UCL qualification or I don't think they should hope for it. I think this year is the where they probably need to sort of regroup in terms, and this is for the club. I mean, not for the team. Of course, the players have to sort of put in their best, and that's the job. But I think for the club, they sort of have to sort of go through this and rethink their whole structure, rethink their whole plan for the next year. I think that should be their next the next aim.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. But one thing I feel that Barcelona can, probably regroup. If you look at the La Liga table, they're just 1 point behind top four. They're 35, Atletico Madrid is 36. So technically speaking, they still can make it top four. And one of the goals for them would be to win the Europa League. That's probably another way of qualifying for the Champions League. Champions League qualification will be their primary goal, and probably to end the season well in La Liga. But other than that, I see them being a stronger squad at the start of the next summer. Right now, you look at the injuries they have been facing. For example, Ansu Fati getting injured again. I feel really sorry for that kid. He's just got back, and the injury relapsing is the worst thing that can happen to a player. And
Yeah,
again, he's out for 2 months. But what is good for Barcelona is they have a young core which can build from here on. Next 10 years is safe under the score. And hopefully Barca doesn't let go of these lads. They're a very good team to probably build up on. But one funny thing for me is Dembele's situation. Dembele has been one of the players who Barca really wants him to be out ASAP and get some money at least. If Dembele goes out and if they get some money, I'm also hearing that Morata is almost has completed the signing to Barcelona. So if Morata comes, it's definitely going to help them in some way or the other, especially in terms of finishing. I wasn't the match was at Lavis, and it was, trust me, it was one of the most boring games I've watched of football in a very long time because there was no
yeah,
intensity,
true, true.
um, there was nothing from Barcelona to suggest that they will be even a top four contender. They just looked like a mid-table team trying to scrap up against Alaves. Alaves is a good team, but
so
if you
far,
look,
what do you think?
yeah,
What do you think Xavi is like so far? What is his system? What is his sort of his go-to tactic? What do you think is currently at place right now?
let me be very honest. If you're making someone like Luke De Jong to play tiki taka, he's definitely not going to even make tiki taka. He's going to only
Yeah,
do tiki tiki. Not no tiki
yeah,
taka is going to come into play over
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Look at the kind of players he's got, and to build a tiki taka system, it's going to take a lot of while, right?
yeah.
It's not like
But
So,
don't
so
worry,
he
in the
wants.
box, he's
yeah.
more dangerous than Neymar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you gotta admit that he's a sphere man in the
Yeah,
box.
I think he's just behind Ronaldo or a player. He's second in terms of headers. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
past few seasons, like he has 72 or 73 headers.
I mean,
Yeah,
crazy player,
I
man.
mean, it's tough to make an argument for Luke De Jong. I mean, even Newcastle didn't want him. Even when Newcastle were going through and before they had another phase,
Yeah,
they didn't want him. And yeah,
yeah.
so what do you think they need? Which department is what they're looking for if Xavi wants to
To be
make
very
such a
honest,
high
defense, defense.
defense?
Look,
Yeah,
Xavi is looking to play high pressing football. That's the philosophy he wants to build in Barcelona.
yeah,
That's one thing which he's always spoken about. I want to keep the ball, press high. The defender should be maintaining high line. I've noticed it in that Bayern Munich game where they played in the Champions League, where they were not able to get back in time for defensive transition. Same thing happened in the Super Cup, against Real Madrid. They were keeping that high line. They were in moments they looked like they were totally in control of the game. But the moment there was a counter attack on defensive transition, there is no pace. I mean, you're not going to expect Danny Alves to cover ground. You're not going to
Yeah.
expect PK to cover ground. Longley is out of question. All you have is an Arauco who is decent. But so I reckon Barcelona should really invest in a right back, a centre back, and hopefully looking at the future in a left back as well. So literally, a defense should be a complete revamp. And I'm not at all impressed with Ter Stegen as well. I don't know what has happened to him post the injuries, but his technique has been really poor. He's been letting go. The goals he's been conceding as well. He's been making a lot of errors. So they need a complete defensive revamp, in my opinion.
I think I think with
So
the staging, I think it's the byproduct of how the both the centre backs, how the defensive structure is at place. If there is
Correct.
no, I think that's partly what happened with Kepa at Chelsea. I think our defense was going through a very bad phase before we
Hmm.
had Thiago Silva, because before Anton Rudiger was at form. I think Kepa
Yeah.
went through it, and and of course he lost his confidence, and hopefully Ter Stegen, who's such an amazing world class goalkeeper, hopefully something doesn't happen to him like that.
Absolutely. I'm
yeah.
also hoping.
So what do you think about the as Piliqueta transfer to Barcelona, which is rumored, or I think it has been completed, which is he
Yeah, it is
might
complete.
come in
As I
coming
read it.
coming on the next summer. So what do you think about that? Like, which how will it help this Barcelona side? Maybe take out PK or the 11, or who are you
I
going to take
think,
out?
well, I mean, who's going to take out? I think, if that his direct replacement is, I think that would be Dani Alves. But I think Sergino Dest is planning to move on. I think probably his replacement. I think what a Splitter is going to bring his captaincy, is sort of his leadership. I think that's the best he's going to bring. I don't think he's the most, even for Spain. He just recently got into the Spain team. Actually, he became a permanent member in the team. I think because they were short in the right back position, because they didn't have that sort of. I think missing Ramos what was key for Spain. So I think bring on. I think what they're looking for Aspilicueta is a leadership. Is more of bravery in that role, because of course we understand that Barca is going through this situation, and they need their older players aren't really bringing up, or they aren't really pulling their weight. I think that's what is that's very common in clubs we find who are going through in turmoil, that the senior players have to sort of step up. I think that's partly why they're targeting Aspilicueta to bring into their squad, because I think he brings a whole new sort of energy,
Yeah.
leadership energy, and probably sort of bring Barca back to the old days, as in terms of their culture, and in terms of their environment. But
I think
I
they're
don't
looking at leader of
tactically.
men, right? They're looking at
Yeah,
leader of men right now. That's why they brought in Danny Alves into the squad as well. But
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I don't think Cesar Azpilicueta signing is that great a signing. But look, he's also in the wrong side of 30s. Yesterday we discussed on the live that Cesar
Yeah,
Azpilicueta's transfer would be a tricky one for Barcelona. He probably has one good season left, and probably he'll also become a wood which Barcelona would want to clear. And therefore, I really feel it's not the right transfer. Probably they can invest in a youngster, young defender in the coming months. Probably he could come in. Maybe that's why I'm looking at Mathis Delight. In the future, if Barcelona has enough funds to really go after him, he could be a good signing for Barcelona in the coming years to come. And he's a leader material as well. You've seen him with Ajax.
yeah, true,
I
true.
think but what probably with the signing of Aspliger, I think what they're looking is they're trying to sort of they're trying to I think they're trying to sort of how do I say it, cutting the cost in the short term, because in the long term what they need, what you say, how you suggested, is they need young players, and that
Hmm.
if they're looking to build a project, and of course that's what they're brought Xavi in for. They want to make a new project, and bringing on Asplicata is sort of, I think, looking out for the short term. Hopefully the casualties aren't very high as much. So I think that's the main reason for bringing him on. Of course, you said he's in the wrong side of 30, and he probably has a good year or two.
Yeah.
I think maximum a year. But so yeah, I think they probably are looking for him to sort of fill that gap for that year alone. Nothing else, I believe.
Correct. True.
Yeah. So I think that should be all about Barcelona. And let's talk about another club which has been really shaky. Actually, with the departure of Ronaldo, they have been really shaky. We're not getting the amount of goals that they have got from last season. That is Juventus. Even with the injury of Chiesa now, it's been actually kind of sad for him, and for the club. They've not been where they want to be. Like every other season, they have been top four. Like they're not where they are. So I guess they are one of the clubs which are really struggling. Any words on that, Abel?
See, Juventus will have a tough time, especially now with Chiesa, one of the main players injured, and with the departure of Ronaldo, we expected that. Right now, they're battling for top four, one of the same situation like what is happening with Barcelona after Messi's departure. Ronaldo was one of the key mans. He brought that energy into the side. We have to accept, though it did not probably make them win an UCL, but they were dominant in Italy, but probably not so for the last two seasons. I know how many of you have watched that all or nothing season with Juventus on Amazon Prime. You could really see that as a team, the last season they literally fell apart, and they were looking at individuals to really step up. No, they did not play as a team. It's a wonderful season, I would say. Just go and watch it. For anybody watching the show as well, you will know what is exactly happening in Juventus. Now, talking about that big hole in striking position, yesterday we discussed on our live as well. Dusan Lahovic, he's going to be a key signing for them. He's one of the he's going to be a huge signing for them because he has been in terrific form. He's been banging in some really good goals for Fiorentina, but leading goal scorer in Serie A so far in the whole of last year. So if he comes into Juventus, it's definitely going to help them up front. And I'm expecting players like Arthur to really step up. He hasn't really shown the potential he has. He did not do it with Barcelona, but he's a player with a lot of potential. He has shown it in burst, but if he can fulfill that whole potential what he has, then Juventus will have a good time, going ahead. But they will have a big match against Villarreal in the Champions League. It's not going to be easy at all because Villarreal is a very strong team when it comes to knockout football. We have seen that in that final of the Europa League. Yeah, we've seen that in the UEFA Super Cup where they really gave Chelsea a run for their money. And if not for Kepa's brilliance, it could have been Villarreal that day as well because they had a lot of chances. So, but in the season, if you look so far, that they're not really stepped up. But when it comes to knockout, Unai Emery has got that Midas touch. I would say, if they can get and sneak in a couple of goals. But the good thing for Juventus will be there is no away goals to really worry about. If you can really at Turin, if they can score 3 goals and probably you know even if they concede in the away like 1 or 2, it won't be a lot of issues for them. But other than that, Juventus wouldn't focus on next season as well. Same like Barcelona, and Manchester United. This season is almost out of their hands. With Dusan Vlahovic, I would really like to see how their attacking transition works and how their team builds up. And I'm hoping that once KSA is fit as well, they look like a good team probably at the start of the next season.
I mean, Blahovic, yeah. I mean, he reminds me of like a young Suarez.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
very. The thing is, he's very suitable for if you want a high pressing football. He's a very dogged. He's got that sort of fight in him, and of course he comes correct. He always sort of he's a clutch type of player. He always scores at the right moments, and uh, he's a, and of course he's a baller too, skillful player from what I've seen. So I think of course it's a 75 million deal is what I've heard. So it's gonna be he's gonna be a great signing for him because they sort of I don't think Morata was I think after what Morata post Chelsea was I think that it's a very different Morata from what he expected himself to be. So yeah, hopefully he becomes that replacement. Hopefully he needs to because it's not just about if you look at any top team who's actually going down the table. It's mostly because they've been leaking goals more than
Yeah.
they've in terms of the scoring department. It's actually quite of course injuries and COVID hasn't really helped Juventus, but they still do have players who can actually score very good goals. Currently, this time too, I believe so. But in terms of defense too, they're conceding more in games, is what I've seen, and it's quite it's quite odd to see Allegri's system to be because he sort of plays a very defensive side of football where it's all about it's he sort of takes in that Italian side of football and he implements it. And so I think defensively too, they sort of probably it's sort
Yeah.
of I think it's a matter of time rather, because it's not a matter of players, because
Yeah.
they arguably have the best individuals in defense when it so
But
probably
don't
they
you think
need to
they're
work.
also aging? For example, look at
Yeah,
Kelly Bonucci, but you have a Mathis Delight Rugani over there,
yeah,
but they're also aging, and aging defenders really don't perform well in Europe like you can expect them to do, because the intensity of European football is increasing every year, right? So you
yeah,
can expect, even Italy, you can say, for example, Lukaku has done so well in Italy, and all of a sudden, when it comes to English football, you can say, are the Italian defense so bad? If you look at last 10 years, Italian defense has been on a downslide. That's where probably they are struggling at where they are, and the two top men who did really well for Italy in the Euros are struggling to help Juventus to keep the clean sheets every week. So it's tough time for Juventus. They will also be looking to sign a key defender, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. So, any other clubs that you guys want to talk about, or
Hey, let's
any
talk
mention?
about ISL. No.
Who?
Let's talk about ISL. It's interesting out there
Yeah.
for ISL fans. Any ISL fans out there? Or let's talk about AFCON. I think that's a more interesting topic to discuss about. Which team has
yeah,
been the
yeah.
most exciting team for you
I
people to
mean,
watch
you,
out the AFCON? I would say Comoros Island
I
has been the most exciting team for me. What a team,
I
man.
think what I think the management of AFCON is very. It's amazing what Afghan has been conducted in terms of how do I say this? I mean, you saw that referee meme, right? Oh my god!
Yeah.
Like he blew.
I mean,
I
I'm
think
not
It's
three
saying
been.
times or something.
I saw one of the videos where this
Oh
player
god!
punches the other player. Referee is waiting for him to give red card, and he runs into the tunnel. And his referee is waiting yet to give a red card. And that was one of the most hilarious things I've seen on a football field. Afcon, man.
It's
If anybody's missing out on the best football.
Yesterday, there was a statement by a coach, yeah, where it said that you can see Sadio Mane washing his own underwears and all. I mean, is that the condition of AFCON? I mean,
I
like
mean,
people troll
yeah.
Klopp for the statement he
yeah.
said before, but come on, man, you have to give
Can you
proper
talk about a
treatment.
premium European forward on AFCON? Sometimes I
Yeah.
feel, that the cup which India plays and wins always. What is that cup called? We defeated Nepal recently.
Yeah,
What is it?
recently, yeah, a few months back.
Man, what is that cup called? I know we're going live and we're talking all this rubbish, but then yeah, what is that cup called again? India recently won that cup. So, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I just feel like that cup has more standard than AFCON sometimes, because it's more, at least it's less controversial.
I mean,
But
it's
Oh, at least
more
they'll have
entertaining.
washing machine.
Uh,
yeah,
it's a lot of entertaining material, is what I've seen so far
I
from
mean,
AFCON.
if you really want to enjoy some football, entertained by yourself, watch AFCON, guys. It's worth it. You're going to see some of these guys come to the World Cup as well. How excited are you to see Senegal versus Egypt in a World Cup qualifier? Actually,
And
it's
only
quite.
one goes through.
Yeah, who
Yeah,
wins goes
yeah.
through. I mean, yeah, that's
It's
Salah
I
versus
interesting.
think
Mane.
I mean yeah, it's probably I think Senegal's much more obviously they're a much more stronger team, but
Yeah,
what I mean from the brief sort of the littlest experience of what I've seen from Egypt is that they sort of work as a team and they sort
yeah,
of try to lay it on a plate for Salah. But
yeah.
Senegal's actually quite a strong team if they
True.
have, yeah, they do have the players for it, and of course, I think we've seen in international football, like it's mostly about how the individuals, it's moments of brilliance rather than a tactical
Yeah.
setup. So I think I mean it's just from pure logic and from pure observation. I think Senegal is going to go through.
That's interesting. Actually, Senegal might just be that team in the World Cup. And actually, in the last World Cup, they did pretty well. They defeated Poland, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
good thing. African teams coming up to do well. I think we should talk about Chelsea as well. We have a
yeah.
Chelsea
Oh,
fans.
yeah.
Let's talk about Chelsea. Anthony.
Yeah, man. I think what we are going through right now is, I mean, partly is because of the, it's not, we've leaking goals at the back and at the same time, but I don't think a lot of people are really giving light on it. I think people are mostly just, just pointing out the Lukaku situation and how he's not been firing lately. And, it's tough to make that argument, because when I see from games, it's not just his own fault. I think the service given to him is not really at point. I mean, the last game against Tottenham was actually quite
But
good.
tell me, have you seen a player's first touch being so bad? Like Sankey or Anthony, take that up because I've not seen a player with such a bad first touch. I mean, you can have a better clearance if he plays a defender. His first touch is equal to a clearance. I mean, you're talking about a top level European footballer over there. He's a 97 million signing, and
uh,
he's not been able to score again. Or is it a
it's
curse after Drogba that whichever striker comes shall not succeed? Let it be Werner, let it be
oh my god.
Torres, Morata, no, except Diego Costa. He was good.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Uh,
I, you know,
Yes.
with we talk about his first touch. Yeah, it's amazing meme material, but I think like he's not a back to goal striker. That's, I think it's
Yeah.
quite clear how his stature might, sort of point it out. So he's not a target man. He's actually a run in behind striker. He's actually, his style of playing and Werner's style of playing is very similar, to be honest. They're actually this type of forward that actually wants to get behind the defense and sort of
Yeah.
get that last ball through and sort of score, get that
Yeah.
out ball and score. But thing is, he doesn't have his first 10 yards are so slow. It's he doesn't have the pace for that. The way we want when Werner plays as a striker. So he has to sort of adapt to how Tuchel plays. He has to sort of be like that. And the thing is, we are actually sort of having going through this identity problem too, and
Yeah.
the entire team is sort of having this sort of crisis, because we're actually not quite sure. I think Tuchel is not quite sure of course we press and we get the ball back quickly, but are we that, that straight away go to attacking team? Because we don't score a lot, even though
Yeah.
we have the, yeah, even though we may seem like we're actually just clinical in, and at the times we most wanted to, but we don't just kill off games. And what I've seen is that basically we'll score 2 goals and we'll probably because we're in control, because we are so sure about our defense that we, of course, that we're gonna win this match at the 60th minute. We know for sure that we're gonna win this match. But I
Yeah.
think we reverted back to back four. So the football has been very fluid. Like there's more passes, there's more out balls, there's more balls flying into the penalty box, and there's actually chances, there's concrete chances being made. But this is that, of course, you when you attack too much, you're losing a bit of your defensive structure too. So it's going to be, I'm going to be very curious to see how, because I believe that we are out of the title race, because I don't think what like, I think uh, mostly because I think City are going to run away with it. Probably Liverpool has a chance, but so far I think City are going to go away with it. And what I think that what Chelsea should be building on is for the next season, as in we need to have what City and Liverpool are what they have, which is the well drilled teams with the concrete identity.
Yeah.
Whenever they're
I think we kind of
Um,
lost it there.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is
You,
how we work, and we
yeah.
go we
yeah,
go
he's back.
we go through with it. So yeah, this is, I think that's what we should focus on. I'm going to be very curious to see how it's going to work out for our club for the next few weeks, on how the type of play, how it's gonna work. And yeah, so yeah, hopefully something good comes out of this.
True. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
so
something to be
do you
exciting
guys
as
see
well.
any possibility of Chelsea going out of the top four with Tottenham coming in, Arsenal coming in, and you see Man United coming in and West Ham? So any possibilities that Chelsea is going out of the top four?
Oh, man, that's quite a big question. But I personally feel if Chelsea, if they, once Reece James and Ben Chilwell comes in, Tuchel can play that system which he's used to playing, which is 3-4-3 with the wing backs
They help in the
actually.
attack. Yeah.
Sorry?
Chilwell and Reece James actually help a
Reece
lot
James.
in their attacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I see at this point, Tuchel do not have a backup system as he would have loved to have, and he is still trying to, put that system in play. If you look at the game which they play against Tottenham Hotspurs, I saw flashes of where he was trying to move at four in the back kind of a system. Right now, uh, the four in the back system might not really suit Chelsea because they are so used to playing that three at the back with his two wing backs bombarding up front. I feel that's where they're lacking a little bit. Once they both are back, they might be in a better position to adapt and better position as they were at the start of the season. If you look at the start of the season, they were a title contender, and they, alongside with Liverpool and City, were the three favorite teams to go out and give a very close Premier League run. But unfortunate for them at where they are right now. But I'm expecting Tuchel to adapt. He's such a classy manager that he is of that series a usual winning manager. He has won the best FIFA manager award as well, and he's rightfully won all of these because of his tactical masterclass which he displays. And I'm pretty sure that one of the areas which Tuchel will be looking at is to invest in a good right back, probably for a backup for Reece James. If they can invest in a particular right back at this season, in the January transfer window, it'll be great. But it's tough to replace Reece James' class, isn't it? Because he has been too good a player for them. Uh, Even Ben Chilwell. So I don't see Marcus Alonso or anybody even coming close to what Chilwell and Reece James was offering to the team. That's when you understand how valuable can two wing backs be for a football team, because you're saying Manchester United struggle. For example, Van Bissaka and Luke Shaw hasn't done really good for them. That's where they have struggled so far. And for example, Chelsea is struggling in the same front as well because they are missing the two premier wing backs. And I'm expecting probably someone like Mason Mount to play more up front. What I've seen of Mason Mount in the recent games is that he's playing a lot more in the lower block. He's coming too deep in the field, and he's not. Mason Mount always looks good when he plays up front and when he's able to make those attacks. But when he's coming too deep and tries to recover, that's where he kind of struggles. But I'm also hoping Chelsea continues with Kovacic and Kante midfield duo, because those two were really good. If you look at the match with Liverpool, Kovacic and Kante duo did really well, and I'm expecting more than Jorginho Kante. I'm expecting Kovacic and Kante duo to continue, and I'm sure that they will be. They should secure the top four. If they don't, it'll really surprise me.
The thing is, like, mathematically it's actually possible that we might actually go out, because we've actually played all of our games. We've played 24 of our games, and it seems that, because I think Tottenham's got a chance to make it that top four position, because they do have the games in that those games in hand. And I think with Conte at the helm, it's entirely possible that they make top four, they get Champions League football. And the thing is, it's such a, because we have these three top teams. I mean, currently four right now, where West Ham, United, Tottenham, and Arsenal trying to make it into top four. And I think it's going to be tough, because there is a chance that we might actually come out as a casualty, where probably we might sort of lose faith. I think what's going on is we've sort of talked ourselves out of the title race. I think Tuchel is sort of done that. He sort of understood the gravity of the situation, and he might give us focus on the other competitions, on the UCL, FA Cup, and of course the final coming on, the EFL final. But the problem with that is, there is a genuine chance that we might actually fall out of the top four, even though we seem we seem just impeccable on our day. But yeah, it's tough to make that argument, because Tottenham is going to be gaining on us. I think they have 4 games in hand, and yeah, they should be, if they win all four, they will be on top of, they will be on, of course, above us. And yeah, I mean, West Ham, United, we do have to go against them. We have to personally, match by match, we have to go against them, if we want to sort of solidify that, that third position. So yeah, I think Google sort of has to get the third position. It's just how the Chelsea board works. Or else the management is gonna go haywire, and they'll probably make a very, it's gonna be it's tough, because Tuchel has to sort of show that sign of improvement, not just on the pitch, but on the table too. On the outside, he has to show that he's improved, or else it has to be another trophy. But yeah, I think it's going to be till the last. We're going to have to fight till the last, if we need to sort of make that third position ours. Yeah, because second is, I think Liverpool sort of solidified it. I think it's between City and Liverpool, this title race. And but it's I think everyone knows in the back of their head, yeah, that City's going to go away with it. So yeah.
Yeah, and then I think your video is having a issue. I think you're getting stuck a little bit. If you can
No?
rejoin,
Uh,
I'll do good.
Yeah, sure. Um,
Yeah, yeah, thank you. You can continue.
yeah, I guess that'll be it for today. Yeah.
Yeah, probably we can discuss probably one more team. We can talk about Real Madrid. I mean, what a season
Oh
they've been
yeah,
having. Yeah,
they've been looking like the past dominating Real Madrid. Like once Ancelotti is back, like they've just been dominating in Spain.
yeah. I mean, of course, Real Madrid. I feel Ancelotti has come out saying that he probably doesn't want to play the most attractive football, but oh man, they've been able to create those results with the likes of Benzema and Vinicius Junior. And especially kudos to Vinicius Junior, man, the way he has transformed himself. He faced a lot of criticism probably last season and the season before that because he was not able to finish. But right now, Vinicius in the box is one of the most biggest threats for any European club to face because he's been able to finish with such class, and also Benzema partnering him. And if Mbappe also joins Real Madrid next season, they would be serious force for any European team. You saw that, and man, you cannot look past that midfield trio of Casemiro, Modric, and Toni Kroos. They have been for there forever now. I don't know. They've been like putting in performance day in and day out, day in and day out. Takes me to that Elche game where Carlo Ancelotti, started off with a surprising lineup. Carlo Ancelotti is known for not changing his lineup at all. And that Elche game, he brought in likes of Isco, Marcelo, and midfield he had Camavinga and Federico Valverde. But the moment he knew he was in trouble, who are the three players he brought in? These three, and I'm like, oh, not surprised at all. And they came and they changed, and Modric, and he's been like working. He's been like a true workhorse, and how easy is he on the ball? And not seen a player at 36 in the midfield. I remember Pirlo doing it. I remember very few players at the age of 36 able to dominate European football, sustain the pressure, and also to make midfield look so easy. I mean, uh, Carlo Ancelotti has nothing but these three players. The moment he has these three players on the sheet, he feels okay. This game is in our control, and that's exactly what we are seeing. The game, especially they played against Barcelona. The game they played against Atletico Bilbao as well in the Super Cup. They were too good, man. And I'm expecting Real Madrid to go a long way in the Champions League as well. They'll be a serious threat, and I'll give all the credit to Real Madrid over PSG in that crucial round of 16. I know it might hurt a lot of Messi fans, Neymar fans, and Mbappe, but the form they are in, and
it's
PSG are
gonna
really
hurt. Yeah,
good.
it's gonna
Yeah,
hurt Sergio Ramos too, I guess.
yeah. Man,
Yeah.
it's going to be tough for Sergio Ramos. They're really slow. One thing which I find of PSG, they're very slow in their transitions as well.
Yeah,
They
the build-ups have been really slow and it's not been
Yeah,
that progressive. Like
yeah.
not effective like how Real Madrid has been in their build-ups. PSG has been really slow, as you mentioned.
Tell me one thing, which PSG players really impressed you? I mean, Messi has been there, but other than Mbappe, has there been any player this season was impressed you? Maybe for one game I saw Verratti against City was good. And then there's been not like PSG will really go and dominate Europe.
I think Hakimi's been quite consistent with the
The
way.
best
I
right
mean,
back
he's
in the
been.
world, huh?
I mean, as I think, yeah, it's as claimed by his fellow teammate. But yeah, it's Hakimi's been quite consistent in his performance. He doesn't. He sort of delivers 7 out of 8, 8 out of 8, sort of most of the time. And against most, I think it's easy. I guess against most oppositions in France when he faces them. But yeah, well, let's see how it's because PSG sort of looks they sort of play in this sort of this pampered structure where they believe. I think it's probably overconfidence in their own talents. Of course, they have the right to be so, but yeah,
Yeah,
I mean I think Pochettino's probably gonna go game by game in the UCL in the knockout stages because I think that's what's best for them. That's what suits them because
yeah,
their individual talent sort of stands out from any structure that Pochettino is ever gonna think of, and I think that's the best way possible because they're actually not doing their best in the league too because in the league you need to have a system in place. Have to play in a system. Otherwise, you can only sort of derive consistent win after win after win. But against cup games, it's going to be quite easy for them because you could form small tweaks in their plans, and you could show the weaknesses of the opposition and sort of bring out the best, bring out sort of that sort of blind spot in the opposition and with the talent they have, they could just right they could just hit at it. And um, I think that's what Pochettino is going to plan for it. The problem is that he needs time for it. So he
Yeah.
needs to sort of, yeah, he needs to show it in the league that they're not going to be less than first position. I think
One thing which
that's,
I
yeah.
find as well is they're not a good team and they're not a good team off the ball. If you're looking at those three players, Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi, they're really poor off the ball. So when it comes to defensive side of things, they might not be the best of teams, especially when it comes to off the ball performance. And you know how big it can be off the ball, especially in top European competitions.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, Kimpembe has been quite impressive. Like I think as every season he's been quite impressive. He's not been that bad, not that good. He's impressed every season actually. And actually, speaking about PSG, they have had like more of individual performances rather than actually as working as a team. Like they have had like maybe your two like you have two goals and maybe that's scored by Mbappe. You have two goals that is scored by Wijnaldum. That team effort, like how we see in City, that system that is there in other teams who play as a team. That I don't see that much in PSG because PSG is more relying on individual efforts that we have seen. Like Mbappe, they want maybe a game they'll see Mbappe, maybe Wijnaldum stepped up one game, scoring two goals. See, that's what they have mostly in their system. That's not
True.
more than that.
I mean, that's why
What do
they're
you think
not
of
a
the
basic.
what do you think of the like the Kelo Navas Donnarumma situation, which is what do you think is the next plan for Navas? Do you think he's gonna stay there? Of course,
I think he
like,
will leave at the end of the summer. Maybe he might even go to maybe not a big European team, but there are some teams who are needing some keepers. Especially, I don't think he's going to go to Barcelona, but and especially in England, maybe he might be taking the flight to England, and in England in English football, you might go for a lower price, but I'm expecting him to go to a team like Aston Villa or something. He might be a good pick
yeah, I
over.
mean, yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, Aston Villa is quite. I mean, everyone thought that they probably make it to the top six this season, right at the start of the season. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, they just whenever they're going through crisis, they just keep getting good ideas, and
yeah,
I think, of course, that the sale of Grealish has sort of helped the club a lot.
mm,
I mean, we're seeing the benefits of it, we're seeing the fruits of it, and it's I mean the it's it was a very out of the box. I think it's a very good thing that they appointed Steven Gerrard, because he truly has a sort of they what they call it the Gerrard pull, which is, he has that effect on players where he could just attract them and sort of bring new quality players into the team. And I hear Suarez is actually one of them. So yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's a very great situation going on for them right now. And I
True, I
think
mean,
they
yeah,
yeah, it's been actually a couple of years where they're actually trying to make it to that next sort of phase where they want to be a top 8 team. They want to sort of contest in FA Cups. They want to contest to be a top 16. They want to know, they want to be back that they want that European pedigree that when they used to have that. So it's big ups for them, because they're I just love seeing up and coming teams just sort of being that underdog. And they, with the appointment of Steven Gerrard, a young sort of ferocious sort of type of manager, and he truly has a system in place, is what I've seen from his football lately. And defensively they need to work too. I think they have two athletes at the back
yeah,
who sort of do the dirty work, but I think they truly need a defensive sort of a player who has a very defensive sort of mindset, a player who's very good at that role. And yeah, they could do some old heads. They could do so with some senior players who've been at the top, and someone like Suarez at the front. And yeah, they
yeah.
could do with that, and hopefully they sort of transcend into that top club we all, I mean, most people want them to be. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm expecting the trio to reunite again, Gerard, Suarez, and Coutinho. And you never
Yeah.
know, Aston Villa could be a top four contender next season. But yeah, I'm hoping that they do well. And so far, there has been good signs, especially the performance they put up against Manchester United, 2-0 down, and to come back the way they did. I'm so impressed with the way they played. And And Coutinho would feel a lot at home playing alongside Gerrard, and with the miserable 4 seasons he had in his career, I'm sure that the kind of potential and the kind of talent he has, it's time about time that he comes good again in the English Premier
Yeah,
League, and
yeah,
I'm very hopeful about that. I think we should talk about one team that has been Manchester City, right? What a season they've been having it again, Sankey
yeah,
and
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to go, Sankey, or you want me to
No,
go
you
first?
can go.
Yeah, man.
You
I
can go
mean,
first. Yeah.
with City, yeah, City is just they're like a machine. It's this year after year we sort of see this, and it's amazing. With it's we see it in most of Guardiola's teams where when they have a good run, you just can't stop them. It's they
yeah,
have this psychedelic sort of environment, this sort of feeling where they're at the top and they're just churning out these creative sort of performances. And it's with the game against Southampton, Guardiola said it's even though it was 1-1, it was one of the best performances he's seen so far in a Man City shirt. And frankly, I do
that's
agree with him because
Guardiola.
yes. I mean, yeah, it's tough. Sometimes it's tough to distinguish if he's insane, or if he watched another match or something. But I actually agreed with him on that performance. It
Yeah,
truly
it was
was.
good
I thought,
performance. Yeah.
yeah,
It was. It was.
and
And I'm seeing a lot of changes as well. The way in which Manchester City has been operating this season from the last season, they're more cohesive as a unit. If you look at the front three, they're so adaptable. Any player can play attacking midfield option.
yeah,
It could be if they're going behind Foden, it could be Kevin De Bruyne who's going to come in that position. It could be Bernardo Silva who's going to come in. Everybody's so adaptable up front, and one thing which Guardiola says is that we might, if you look at Sterling, Bernardo Silva, Grealish, they might not be defensively very good, but they work collectively to be defensive unit. That's why off the ball they're one of the best teams in Europe as well. No
yeah,
team in Europe can be really good without just being good on the ball. You need to be as good as you are on the ball, off the ball as well. That's where I feel Manchester City this season has been showing that spark, and especially a champion teams brings out those results which probably they nobody expects them to. The game against Arsenal, many would say Arsenal would have been unlucky, but that's a mentality which the team has got. To get those results when it matters the most. I think the loss against Chelsea, the Champions League final, would have definitely hurt them. And maybe at the start of the season, I really thought they needed a number nine, but now I really feel they're on the right path, and
yeah.
without a number nine as well, they've been so clinical up front in the goal, and all the midfield options are also stepped up. And I see them going a long way in UCL alongside Madrid and maybe Liverpool as well. So these four teams will be on my radar to make it big. Man, people talk about Bayern Munich, but I don't see this is a year for Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich,
Yeah, true.
they've not really done so impressive as one would have expected them to. I'm moving to another team that's Bayern Munich because after the departure of Alaba, I see a huge hole in their defensive system, and Upamecano hasn't stepped up as one would have liked to because he's been so inconsistent for them so far, and that the strong duo of Jerome Boateng and the Alaba is all of a sudden missing for Bayern Munich. That's where I see Upamecano has struggled. Maybe they play Nicolas Zula at times. They've even bought Benjamin Pavard, to play in the centre back role. They've not delivered at all. So Bayern Munich is definitely not a contender for me for UCL, but these three teams are definitely.
They're actually looking at defensive reinforcements, aren't they? Like, I think they're looking at Christensen. They're looking at players who they're looking at really players who've actually done that defensive role, who's experienced in that role. They're not looking for that top tongue talent in that defensive position. So yeah, I think that's probably been the only thing that I've seen from them, wo-
Yeah,
as in terms of a in terms of as a problem. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough for them in the UCL. I agree because they just
And
don't
yeah,
seem that damn near perfection that they were the last season or the season before that. So yeah, it's Bayern is actually a curious case. It's because with that with the new coach too, with the Nagelsmann too. I mean, he's a new coach. He's a very young coach, and probably he sort of has a. I mean, of course, Bayern gets new managers with the same sort of philosophy, but they every manager sort of brings a new tweak to a new team, and I think it's sort of a bit of a I think in these days he's making more tweaks to his philosophy, more tweaks to his game plan. I think that's probably what the entire team is going through, attacking wise. But yeah, I think defensively is what they're probably lacking if they're looking for new reinforcements.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and talking about defensive for Bayern, Oliver Kahn has mentioned that Nicolas Sule will be leaving at the end of the season. Yeah, this season. So they will be looking for, as you mentioned, Christensen most probably.
Yeah, I think they're looking at Rudiger too. Rudiger's contract situation is quite tricky, is what I've heard in Chelsea.
Yeah, maybe.
Christensen's, yeah, Christensen seems a very, it's a non-negotiable case, is what I've heard. With him is that the offer's been given to him, but it seems that there has been some sort of mishap. But I think what the with the case of Rudiger is that it's just sort of the numbers just don't agree with him, and
Yeah.
hopefully Rudiger stays for us, because not just in terms of talent wise, his character is sort of part of the reason that we're actually, we go on these big cup runs, and we're actually able to win these tough matches is because of his character. And
Yeah.
it's going to be huge loss if Chelsea lose him, and if Bayern gets them, then yeah, I mean, I think they're just back to being, the same old Bayern Munich where everyone knows that they're just going to win every single match. So yeah,
Yeah. True. Yes, Auntie.
Yeah, so I think we can end this. My charge is about to be over.
Yeah. I think we've spoken for long. We almost covered all the top teams in Europe.
yeah, yeah. What else
Yeah.
do we have to cover? What do you think about, like? What do you think of Liverpool's sort of? What do you think of Jurgen Klopp's assessment of Afcon?
Kind
I
of true,
mean,
kind of not true. Like,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
you
Yeah, I
hear
mean,
Mane is washing his underwear there.
I mean, dude, I mean, as I mentioned, guys, if you really want entertainment in your life, watch AFCON. One of the
yeah,
most entertaining teams have been Comoros Islands. They have less than 1 million population, I think. But, dude, they are playing as defender as their goalkeeper for that huge knockouts against Cameroon. And I'm expecting them to tank them through, go and win that AFCON, show the world
yeah,
who they are. And
yeah,
hopefully,
yeah, yeah.
I have
Algeria didn't win a single game, yeah?
Yeah,
who?
no, it's Algeria.
They were on a
Algeria.
winning
It's
streak
What
for so
actually
long and they
Nigeria,
didn't win a single game.
Algeria, all have really gone off. I mean, now I'm rooting for Comoros, guys. I mean, if anybody
Comoros.
is a
Yeah,
Comoros fan, support them. They are such a good team. Expecting some big
yeah.
stars to come out.
Hopefully, yeah.
That's what happens on live stream. We'll be doing some watch-alongs, guys, for AFCON final.
Oh yeah,
Join for that
amazing. Yeah,
prestigious match, prestigious competition. And I'm expecting a big team. And actually, Chelsea is playing a big match in the Club World Cup, a
yeah, it is.
competition
Yeah,
they've never won. So I'm expecting them to,
yeah.
get that
Hope,
first star on their badge.
hopefully this is our year. Hopefully we win our first Club World Cup. So yeah, it's you. When you're a top European club, you need to have that FIFA Club World Cup. I think it's just imperial for us. We need to have it. So yeah,
I think Sankey can go root for them as they're playing in his hometown. Abu Dhabi, I think
oh,
you can root for Chelsea or the local
oh
team.
man,
Al Jazeera is also there.
it's amazing.
Expecting,
Hopefully,
but
hopefully try and watch the match if it's possible,
yeah,
man.
we will cover it. If Chelsea loses, it's gonna bring a lot of news. That's what I'm more
Man.
excited.
Yeah, I'm.
And you don't see
We're
a
not gonna
top
be.
European club losing out
Yeah,
FIFA Club World Cup.
I
Unless
think
you're
we
I
against
did.
mean,
Chelsea, of course.
I think we did it
yeah,
2012. Yeah, I
yeah,
think
you
that's what
did.
happened.
Yeah, I mean that was against Corinthians. It was Corinthians, right? They were
Yeah,
a
I
good
think
team.
Corinthians.
Not a bad
Yeah,
team.
yeah, yeah.
Corinthians are a strong team. If
So,
you have some South American teams, they will
yeah,
definitely,
yeah,
give your European team run for their money. South American teams are really
yeah.
good and they're so underrated for many reasons. And
Who's Los Palmeiras here this year?
yeah, Lost Pilmers, they're a pretty good side. I'm expecting them to do
Yeah,
well.
hey,
Yeah.
Ericsson's actually Brentford offered him a 6-month contract for Ericsson.
Oh
So
yeah,
do you think?
Brentford. I
Yeah,
mean, it'll be a good
yeah.
move for Ericsson. But right now he's with Ajax, if I'm not wrong.
Is it
Yeah,
Ajax?
he posted something.
Yeah.
He was with Ajax. He was training with
He
them.
was with Ajax. It was quite surprising for me that He's with Ajax, and Ajax are a really good team. And let's talk about Ajax, guys. I mean, what a season they've been having. They've been
Oh
undefeated
yeah, oh my
so
god,
far in the
it's.
Champions League, and they for me are the dark horses in the Champions League. If they can
I mean,
recreate like what they did in 2019 or even half
yeah.
of that, that would be great. Holler
I mean,
has been
it's
having a
it's
great season.
it's amazing where like it's just really appalling with that they haven't like any the top European the top big budget teams haven't really gone for Eric Ten Hag. What he's been doing at the Ajax is such an amazing project. When
Yeah,
in terms of their transition from losing their key players of Delit, De Jong, and Ziyech, and they had those
Van
core
de Beek.
players. And yeah, Van de Beek, they lost them, and they've come back again, and with new, really young, vibrant players who with the guy called the Brazilian guy Anthony. He's such an
Yeah,
amazing. It's just another Yoga Benita project, and yeah,
Neres,
it's
dude, Neres left. Neres left.
yeah,
Neres
He's
also
that's
yeah,
really.
right.
he's leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So it's yeah.
I think Van de Beek should go back to Ajax. Simple as that. Why is he
Nah,
struggling?
he's going
It's
to most probably he's going to go to Crystal Palace.
yeah. It's
What a
no more.
Vieira
season!
I
wants him
think
so bad now.
He was a Real Madrid target at one point. He was such a good number six option for any team. But look at him now. He's barely. I've seen him on the pitch, and he's such a good talent. He does
I
all the.
think the I think Ralf Ragnick really also doesn't rate him too. I think he's not being played really. I think they
Do
bought him
you
as a
guys reckon is it because of a show in the training that they're not picking him in the 11? Because a lot of
uh
coaches look at how you
yeah.
do in the training, right?
Yeah, it is. I think it's. I mean, with United, it's actually quite. I don't know. It's tough because the thing is, it's there's a lot of in-game politics going on over there at the club with the players. I think the players sort of do make a lot of decisions. I mean, it's amazing how I think it's probably with the addition of Ronaldo. I think they've changed the atmosphere in the club. The atmosphere in the dressing rooms probably changed a bit, and with the new manager too, he's very harsh in his criticism, and it's yeah, I think it was well done with the way he handled Anthony Martial's contract situation and his role in the club, and so yeah, I think with Donny van de Beek, I think it's probably with how the environment of that team works. It wasn't what he expected it to be, and I think a lot of the ex Manchester United players will testify to this. But with the culture of the dressing room, the culture of the club isn't really suitable for for all players, and Van de Beek is probably just a victim of that, and
Yeah.
he needs to go to a new club, and probably a new place too, and so yeah, I think Crystal Palace, if they're looking for a loan move, of course, yeah, I don't think they'll be able to afford him, but yeah, they should probably look for a loan move because I think Conor Gallagher is going to go back to us. He's
Yeah.
going to come back to Chelsea, and they need that attacking midfielder, and I think
Conor Gallagher has been
talent
having a
wise,
good season as well. Let's not forget
yeah,
that. He's been a very
yeah.
good box to box midfielder, and
So yeah,
I'm expecting
he's
Chelsea to invest heavily on him in the coming
yeah.
future.
Hopefully, yeah, I think it's if Tuchel's going back to he wants to implement a back four system. I think we need at least two attacking midfielders and I think that's going to be Mount and Gallagher for the
Number
future.
eights,
I think,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Two number eights
So
and a
yeah,
midfielder and Kante would do good for Chelsea.
I
Yeah,
think
also
Van de
Billy
Beek.
Gilmore. Billy Gilmore can
What?
be a good investment. Billy Gilmore in the
Yeah, yeah. I
future.
mean, it's yeah. I mean, Gilmore's. Yeah, I think of course he's gonna come back next season, but I think Jorginho's contract situation too. I mean, it's his agent's been making a lot of noise, which he'll probably return back to Italy next year. He wants to play in Italy. It's quite it's very evident from his agent's words, and I think he probably wants to. I mean, life in England can be quite hard and
Yeah.
cold. Yeah. So so yeah, I think Billy Gilmore seems to be. He's a very similar type of player as to Jorginho, and yeah, it's and I personally I wouldn't mind him taking that mantle from Jorginho as that that sitting midfielder who sort of dictates the tempo of the game,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, hopefully, yeah, it's I want to see. I mean, Jorginho is probably going to be a casualty. I just have this feeling that he's going to be this he's probably not going to be in Tuchel's plans next year because
True.
yeah, the Tuchel probably wants more defensive solidity, so he's going to go with a much more of a defensive type of midfielder. So yeah,
Yeah. Yes, Hanky, you can take over.
Uh, so, what should I say? I mean, you want to end the live now?
Yeah, we can end the live. We have discussed quite a lot,
yeah,
1 hour,
yeah,
and we have
Yeah, I
covered
mean,
all the teams of Europe now. Except
only
maybe next
5% left.
the Championship and League One, and all the League Two division teams as well. We'll come up with the Derby County situation as well, and some cricket lives as well. Whatever is possible, we'll come up with. We'll be consistent as possible. Follow us on Instagram, on subscribe our YouTube channel, guys. Click the bell icon. We'll be going live all the time.
yeah.
Most of the days we'll try to go live, and we'll bring some exciting football, cricket, badminton, F1 as well as an exciting sport, guys. You should watch it. Yeah, let's go.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was.